Hey everybody, Dirili here. Thank you so much for joining me again for another episode of The Men of Yoshiwara. And we are on the Hayabusa route on Chapter 5. Misao, you need to get up soon. I could hear a gentle voice, almost sounded like something from a soothing lullaby. I balled myself up under the sheets. You never were a morning person. I could hear the voice chuckling. I could feel someone else's warmth. I could smell something sweet. This was definitely not my room. Good morning, Misao. I opened my eyes in surprise, and Hayato was right there in front of me. I was so shocked I couldn't speak. Why are you so surprised? You'd been so close with me last night, too. No, I was... Yes, you were. He forcefully pushed me over, and our bodies pressed up against each other. I'd just woken up and my heart was already racing. It feels so nice holding you while I'm asleep. Hayato, don't say such strange things. It's not strange, it's the truth. I could feel the thin sheet and his burly body. It was completely different from his delicate body from the past. I wish we could stay like this forever. Oh, I have to go home now. Yeah, you're right. He held me tightly after saying those words. My body bent back and my chest hurt. I didn't want to leave him. Should I say I don't want to go home, or I wish I hadn't gone to sleep? I wish I hadn't gone to sleep. If it meant that we had to part so quickly, I was happy too, but I feel so relieved having you sleep next to me in my arms. We continued hugging each other for a bit longer. I started getting ready to go home, though I dreaded leaving him. The people in Yoshiwara during the morning time were all silent. I would sometimes see courtesans saying their goodbyes to customers. It was so silent now that the Yoshiwara from the past night seemed like a completely different place. Are you cold? No, I'm fine. We held hands like little kids as he walked me home. I was standing next to a thoughtful, irreplaceable person to me. Our imminent parting was near, but I wasn't looking forward to it. Hey, Misao. Will you come back to Yoshiwara? Huh? I stopped abruptly after hearing his sudden question, and he followed suit. Our hands began to tighten. It might have been because of the distance between us. I'm not sure. Why was he asking me? Was he asking if I would come see him again? Or was he asking if I would go to Yoshiwara again as a customer just like everyone else? Which one was it? I know you don't have to tell a courtesan like me, but I don't want you to be tainted here. Oh. Hayato pulled me closer, and we looked into each other's eyes close up. I know I have no right to forbid you from seeing other men, and I can't ask you to visit me if you decide to come to Yoshiwara again. But my only hope is that your beautiful heart doesn't become contaminated. My heart ached. The depths of my chest hurt. The more he appealed to me with his earnest expressions and eyes, the stronger the pain became. I understand. I don't have any plans to come back here yet. Misao. Hayato brought his hand to my cheek. His gentle hand was a little bit cold, and it was shaking a little. Hayato? Slowly, he came closer to me. The dazzling sun illuminated his gallant face. I couldn't take my eyes off him. I opened my eyes up wide so I wouldn't miss a single moment. We were almost touching. The moment I thought that Hayato turned his face away. Who could defile you? Huh? What? Nothing. Let's go. Oh, yeah. His soft whisper was drawn out. Hayato tugged on my arm and started walking off again. He started briskly walking further and further away. Hayato, you're going too fast! I tried to keep up with his fast pace, but I stumbled on something and fell over. I felt the shock throughout my body, and Hayato pulled my hand. However, he held me tightly, and a few of my valuables started to fall. Her valuables? What valuables are falling? Are you okay, Misao? Sorry for walking so fast. No, it's okay. Thank you for supporting me. I'm just glad you weren't hurt. He knelt down and picked up the fallen valuables. but before he could reach them, someone else picked them up. Oh, this sure is a fancy jewel. A patrol supervisor. I never thought I would meet one at a time like this. If possible, I didn't want to get involved with them, and I started getting nervous.
Good morning, Hayabusa. How far are you planning to escort this young lady?
The patrol officer's eyes were probing me as she looked. Oh, it's a lady. Oops. As she looked me up and down. She was about the same age as my mother. She was wearing a beautiful kimono and had her hair tied up neatly. Her stern, overpowering eyes glinted. I'm taking her to the front gate. Do you have a problem with that? Hayato's tone became very dull. I've never seen you act so kindly to one of your guests before. I guess the patrol squad supervisor is well informed about each and every courtesan in Yoshiwara. Huh. You always have the last word, don't you? What is this jewel? Isn't it something a young lady would usually possess? Misao, you don't have to answer her. If you can't answer me, then I'll have to assume that you've done something wrong. Recently, some people have been leaving this place without paying their dues. We have to follow all suspicious leads that we find. Then you have nothing to worry about. I'll play by the rules and wait until my contract ends. You might be the one who's thinking that. The patrol supervisor slowly started to glare at me. I was startled and my body began to tremble. Where are you from, miss? I'm sure you have a lot of valuables in that parcel, don't you? It's for her kimono. I hesitated to speak, and Hayato stood in front of me to protect me. Her kimono, you say? Yes, I told her that I wanted to see her wearing a kimono once in a while. I had to make one for her. Please, don't look inside. You'll ruin our romantic secret. The patrol supervisor stared at me from behind Hayato. And could you stop trying to scare off my valuable customer? She's terribly frightened because of your abrupt accusations. She's not used to this place yet. You have such a way with words. The supervisor didn't sound happy as she snorted, but she took her eyes off me. After that, she reluctantly handed the jewel back to us and left. We ran into trouble this early in the morning. I was finally able to calm down, and Hayato turned around to look at me. I let the strength out of my body. Thanks. No problem. She was scary, wasn't she? Huh? Yeah. Hayato smiled as if nothing had happened. He also sounded much more cheerful than he did when talking to the patrol supervisor. Well, if she didn't have such a demonic face, she wouldn't be able to manage Yoshiwara. Hayato, you're going too far. She didn't look like a demon. Are you sure your eyes aren't bad? You're terrible. Sorry, don't cry, okay? He placed his hand on top of my head. He caressed it gently, and I was quickly moved by his kindness. I wouldn't cry from something like this. Is that so? I guess you're pretty strong. You always treat me like a kid. I can't help it. You'll always be like my little sister. Even though I'm an adult now? You're not an adult just yet. Yes, I am. If you're that stubborn, I don't think I can call you an adult. What? You jerk. I knew he was just teasing me, and didn't really mean it, but I always got mad and acted stubborn. It's okay, Misao. I don't want you to become an adult just yet. Why? You don't get it? No, you need to tell me why. Maybe you'll understand when you become an adult. Why don't you tell me? I don't know. You're just going to avoid my question? Yep, exactly. Hayato, you're just a little kid, teasing me like this. You might be right. We gently started to hold hands again. Our eyes met and slowly started to meld together. I stopped pouting in an instant. Hayato could easily manipulate my heart at will. It had always been like that. I'm beginning the day by seeing you off like this. We had fun together in our dream, and now I'm sending you off into reality. Maybe we could have been together in our dream world even though I am a courtesan. As we walked off, he started to mutter to himself. Why? We could be together in reality, too. No, we can't. I cherish you too much and don't want to drag you into this place.
I don't want you to ever see me like this again.
No!
I'm sure I don't need to tell you this, but please, be happy.
No! I don't want to be happy!
I'll come to see you again in a few years.
No!
Misao,
No!
this reminds me of the day you'd clung to my back.
We were at the front gate, but my feet stopped. I held onto his hand tightly, so he couldn't let go of me.
When I'd left my home, you'd been so reluctant to let go of me, too. It had been hot that day, my back had been covered in sweat, but you'd stayed glued to me without letting me go.
Hayato started to tap the hand I was using to hold his. He was trying to tell me that it was time for me to go. I shook my head vigorously, and then... I remember too. I remember that day too.
I see. You were always perceptive. I'd never told you that I was leaving for good, but you wouldn't let go of me.
I'd been scared that my fears would come true.
Sorry about that, Misao.
It's okay.
Misao, it's about time for us to part. Be careful walking home.
I clenched his loosening hand. Hayato gently and carefully freed his fingers from my grip. I gave up and stopped resisting because I knew it was inevitable. I bit my lip tightly. Goodbye, Hayato.
Yeah, see you later.
He smiled brilliantly. I couldn't see sorrow in his face. Hayato watched me as I left. I knew when he said later that it would be far into the future. When I turned towards the gate, I decided not to look back at him. I continued to feel his piercing eyes on my back. A few days later, I thought I wouldn't hear from him again for a few years, but Hayato sent me a letter. Feelings of excitement and anxiety mixed together as I opened the letter. They're suspicious of me? The contents of the letter weren't romantic at all. When Hayato had walked me to the front gate that day, Yoshiwara's patrol supervisor had begun to doubt my integrity. For the time being, Hayato didn't want me to step foot into Yoshiwara. That was what he'd written. Have I done something that deplorable? Guilt started to rise up inside my chest as I asked those words. At that time, I'd been overcome with passionate feelings to save the couple from being torn apart. I still didn't think I'd done anything wrong. However, if I was to be treated like a criminal, then I might start to question my integrity. I didn't know what to do. What was I supposed to do from now on? I read the letter over and over, and my feelings began to spiral. Then, later that night... Time to save. And go on to the next chapter. Chapter 6. The Rules of Yoshiwara. On the night I'd received a letter from Hayato, telling me not to come back to Yoshiwara, I went against his wishes and rushed over to Yoshiwara. I tried not to garner any attention as I walked towards my destination. It took a while, but I finally arrived.
Oh, Miss Misao.
I went inside Kikuya, and Iroha looked at me, slightly astounded. Is Hayabusa here?
He is, but...
Iroha paused before finishing his sentence. He stared at me, then started to speak again.
What in the world have you done to have the patrol squadron after you?
Huh?
They came to Kikuya with their supervisor asking for information about you.
I can't believe it.
I have no intention of wringing it out of you, but if this causes any trouble for us, it'll be a bit of a hassle.
I'm sorry. Could you just let me talk to Hayabusa for a little bit? I swear, I won't cause you any more trouble. As I bowed my head politely, I pleaded with Iroha. He quickly sighed and came closer to me.
Lift your head up. I said I don't want any trouble, but it doesn't make any sense how a pure girl like you could be treated as a criminal. Well, like I said, I won't force you to tell me. I'll get Hayabusa, so please wait in that room.
Thank you so much.
Think nothing of it. Your smile is like a blossoming flower. It soothes my soul. It's a compliment. Please accept it gracefully. Iroha casually smiled and pounded his hand.
Someone escort this lady to a room.
Yes, sir. I heard tiny footsteps from further within Kikuya. A young child showed up and bowed his head to me.
She's here for Hayabusa. Please enjoy yourself.
Thank you so much for all your kindness.
It's nothing.
I was taken to a room where I waited for Hayato. A number of people passed by my door. I straightened myself up each time in case one of them was Hayato. Finally, I heard footsteps rushing closer. The door then flew open.
Misao!
Oh, Hayato!
Why did you come here? I told you I forbid you to step into Yoshiwara.
He ran over to me as if he was about to engulf me, and he grabbed my shoulders. I was surprised at his menacing attitude. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I looked downward and apologized. Hayato's grip on my shoulders started to loosen up.
No, I went too far. I was just worried about you.
Yeah, I know. He let out a sigh and loosened up his stance.
Misao, I'm sorry for yelling at you.
No, it's okay. It's because I went against your warning.
But why did you come here? I told you how dangerous it is right now. You paid money just to see me, didn't you?
Well, I wanted to say that I did it because Hayato was a courtesan in the Pleasure District, but I hesitated to finish my sentence even though it was the truth.
You shouldn't do things like this.
Why? All of the other women do this.
Don't compare yourself with other women.
Why are you saying that? I'm an adult too, you know. I hung my head sorrowfully. I didn't come here to say these things. I planned on telling Hayato the truth no matter what. And yet, why did this have to be so tragic?
Misao, I know. You're already an adult, and that's why you can talk back to me.
What are you saying?
You're charming and are of age. Sometimes the older courtesans talk about you here at Kikuya.
Oh, but that's...
What happened?
There's that old traitor, Gen Oomon, right?
Oh, yeah, I remember.
The people here at Kikuya mistook me for his daughter.
They mistook you for his daughter?
Yeah.
That's a funny misunderstanding.
It's not funny. I wanted to tell them the truth, but I couldn't find the right time. It pained me because I felt like I was lying.
You don't need to torture yourself over something like that.
But...
Well, I can understand that. Now I know that the courtesans are after you because they think you're rich. You need to be careful, so weird men don't go after you.
Could you tell them the truth?
If I could, I would. But you're here visiting me. It doesn't matter why you came. No one is going to believe me, even if I tried telling them. It'll end with everyone thinking that I want to keep you all to myself.
That makes sense. Why doesn't she tell them herself then?
You shouldn't be so relaxed. It's hard fixing lies once you've told them.
I guess that's how things are, but they say people naturally forget about them.
That's true, but the fastest solution would be to...
What?
No, never mind.
Huh? Hayato suddenly frowned and shifted his eyes back and forth. I thought it was strange and tried to look him in the eye. Hayato?
I said it's nothing, didn't I?
He sounded extremely pouty and looked annoyed. I thought it was too cute. I moved myself into his field of vision and stared into his eyes. He quickly turned away and I chased after him again.
Let's stop playing around.
But you won't look at me.
Do you want me to?
Yes, I do.
Then I'll give you what you want.
After following his face around, Hayato suddenly sandwiched my cheeks in his hands and looked into my eyes. My heart started beating and made a strange sound.
Misao, should I continue telling you what I was saying?
He whispered to me in a low voice, and the sweet scent of his breath tickled my cheek. I couldn't even look away. He was looking straight at me. I slowly nodded.
I was about to say that if I slept with you, right now everyone would give up on you. It's strictly forbidden for other courtesans to touch a woman once she's slept with someone. Therefore, if I sleep with you right now, I'll be able to have you all to myself.
His eyes were passionate and wet. Was the Hayato I knew and loved really standing in front of me right now? His captivating eyes were narrow, as if he was flirting with me. His lips opened up slightly and enticed me arousingly. I couldn't speak after he captured me.
Did you think I was always going to act like your big brother? I've spent many years in the pleasure district. Unbeknownst to you, I've spent this time selling my body.
Well, actually, it's not really unbeknownst to me. Since I learned you lived here, I kind of figured it out.
I've learned how to make a woman happy. The strict rules here have taught me how to survive and how to kill.
Kill? What? No. I was scared.
Killing virginity, maybe?
Even though I was scared and frightened, I found him alluring. As soon as my body froze, a strange warmth welled up inside me.
Misao, I was sure you would hate me if you saw me like this. I'm sure I've disappointed you and made you hate me. Why do you keep showing up in front of me despite of all that?
His painful tones scorched my chest. The arousing charms from a man in the pleasure district were so agonizing. My eyes overflowed with tears, and my vision was blurred.
Do you show up in front of me to seduce me like this?
The teardrops fell down my cheeks. He chased after them with his fingers as he wiped them away. He showed me his fingers wet from my tears and licked it. He sucked on it. This man wasn't Hayato. This wasn't like him at all. My heart started to ache.
Say something, Misao. If you don't, I'll just assume that you want to sleep with me.
That's the de facto option there. But...
You don't have to say anything. You can go home if you want.
No.
Are you scared of me? It's okay if you're scared. All the men here are frightening. They're like incubi.
Why? This isn't like you.
Yes, it is. If you understand that, then don't come here ever again.
That's not how you really feel. But that's not how you really feel, right?
Yes, it is.
I timidly asked him my question, but he denied it immediately. In the next moment, Yato? He stood up and went away from me and sat by the window.
Forget everything that just happened, Miss Misao.
What?
When I'm with you, my past and present get all jumbled up. I cherish you, but now that you've become an adult... No, it's nothing.
Hayato began to smile awkwardly. It pained me to see him smile like that. I don't want to forget about you. I don't want to forget a single detail.
Misao.
He continued to smile awkwardly. He let out a deep breath as if he was letting go of his pent-up stress. He then looked at me and chuckled.
I just can't win against you. Just like in the past, I can't win against you when you cry or assert yourself. I never thought you could influence me this much, even after I'd become a courtesan.
That's not true. You're so good at manipulating me.
Then I assume neither of us can win against each other.
Yeah, that's probably it.
I see.
Hayato was silent for a moment, and there was an awkward silence in the air. But he soon looked back over to me.
You came here for a reason, right? You arrived right after I sent that letter.
Oh! I remembered why I came here. I'd completely forgotten about my main objective. Hayato needed to know the truth, that's why I rushed over here. There's something I have to tell you.
Is it about those valuables?
I held my breath after he guessed correctly. I prepared myself, then nodded.
Tell me about it. I'll accept whatever you've done.
Hayato left the window, came to my side, and sat down in front of me. Our eyes met. Thanks, Hayato.
No problem. I'm here to protect you. I'll always keep you safe, no matter what the situation.
I was reminded of Hayato as a child. He said the same thing that he'd said in the past. He told me not to cry because he'd protected me back then, too. As he petted me, he spoke forcefully. He was so kind and strong.
Talk to me.
Yeah. I told Hayato about everything that had happened, about the eloping couple that I'd met, about how I'd helped them escape by boat, and how they'd given me a reward. Hayato just listened to me and didn't say anything in particular. I think they're both wonderful people. I felt guilty for disturbing them and wanted to help them out. For some reason, those feelings consumed me.
That's just like you.
You're not mad, Hayato? After listening to my story, Hayato smiled happily.
There's no reason for me to be mad. A sin is a sin, but I can't judge you.
Did I really do something bad? All I could think about at the time was about the couple in front of me.
It's a real problem. If a courtesan runs away, it's like a store losing its trade tools. I'm sure his owner is furious about him not paying off his debts. I wonder what happened to the woman's family. They lost their daughter, so they might be depressed now.
You're right. It's just like you said, I'm in big trouble.
But that doesn't account for your feelings. If I were standing in front of that couple, I'm sure I'd forget about logic and help them too.
At that moment, it sounded like something small banged against the door.
Who is it?
Hayato raised his voice and quickly went over to the door. He swung it open, and standing there was...
Takeo.
Oh, you found me. What a coincidence. I was just passing by. Takeo didn't act shy, nor did he try to change the subject. He just smiled.
You didn't hear our conversation just now, did you?
Well, just most of it. But you should whisper secrets softly into each other's ears, shouldn't you? My heart started to pound after realizing that he'd heard us. What was I going to do? I wasn't sure how things would turn out. Would everything be okay? Saving? And that'll be it for this episode. As I said, 2 chapters per episode. So, hope to see you in my next video or any other future videos. I'd be so grateful for any likes, comments, subscriptions, or shares with your friends to show your support. Thanks so much for joining me. I wish you all health, happiness, and safety. Dirili signing out. Bye-bye, everybody.